Arequipa, the white city of Peru. Known by its nickname, La Ciudad Blanca, Arequipa is a striking city framed by volcanoes and dotted with bright Baroque architecture. Constructed from sillar, a white volcanic stone mined from the Arequipan region, the colonial buildings that form the city create the white facade that gave it its notable nickname. We had the opportunity to spend 2 days roaming the streets of Arequipa, from tasting delicious local specialties to capturing its unique historical charm with our lenses. Let's begin with our morning stroll at the main square, Plaza de Armas.
It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. We are here at the Plaza de Armas, and this is considered the main center of the historical part of Arequipa. And the reason we want to come out here super early is because we wanted to enjoy it without all the crowds. It's actually really quiet right now, and the light is hitting the cathedral behind us perfectly. We got some really beautiful shots over here, and also just the way that the arches line this entire square. Honestly, throughout South America, there's been tons of these kind of squares, but this actually might be the most beautiful. 100%, especially with the palm trees as well.
Right now we're just gonna be relaxing in the square for a little bit. There's so many benches that we can sit down, listen to the birds, and then after that we're gonna roam around the beautiful streets while it's still quiet.
We actually spent a lot longer in this square than we had expected, but I know for a fact that we will be back. And the reason why is, do you see all those terraces right over there? So these are all different restaurants lining the square right over here. And this is a great spot to come for sunset, because you can see the light hitting the cathedral so perfectly. You can people watch a little bit and catch all the action inside of the square itself. Oh, also, if you look all the way back there, it's hard to tell, but you can actually see Volcano Chinchani. And that is a huge reason why you should come out early, because later in the day it does get quite hazy and then you can no longer see the volcanoes.
We've been walking around for a little bit and it's just about time for breakfast at our hotel, so we're heading back to La Casa de Irma where we're staying, and it's weirdly well valued for the hotel that you get. It's got a nice atrium, cute aquarium as well, so we'll link it in the description below if you guys want to book it. And after that, we're gonna actually head to the central market of San Camilo to get some souvenirs, maybe grab some smoothies, and some really good eats, hopefully. It seems like pies are actually pretty popular here in Arequipa, so we decided to get one, and this is peach flavored. You can see how much peach is just filled in this pie. It's got like a bit of a cakey dough. Less like a pie that we know, like a Western pie, and it's more like a cake that's filled with fruit inside of it. It's nice and sweet, but the dough isn't too sweet, so it's a nice contrast in between.
On this little food stall called Las Mechitas, and they have this really good looking chicharron sandwich that I got. So chicharron essentially is just this fried pork belly. So the skin is so crispy that you can just hear it almost as you're tapping it. Inside they also got some onions, tomatoes, and this huge fried sweet potato chip, I think that's what it is, on top of this really gorgeous bread. All right, I'm gonna dig in and see how it tastes. The chicharron has so much flavor, the perfect saltiness to the crispy skin. And of course, the onions and tomatoes cut right through that. And this chip, the sweet potato chip, has that extra bitter crunch that makes this really, really tasty.
In Peru cities, we find a lot of these markets have like these many juice and smoothie stands, and you can get juices with water, orange juice, or you can get a smoothie with milk, and we almost always get ours with milk. This one is a papaya strawberry mango smoothie. It looks good. It smells good. Usually I don't like papaya. Papaya is like one of the worst fruits in my opinion. So nice and sweet. The milk that they use here is totally different. I think it's maybe evaporated milk. They also add a little bit of sugar to sweeten it up a little bit. So definitely a really good smoothie. There are some beautifully stunning churches in Arequipa, so we did a little bit of church hopping. Started at La Compañía, which has this rustic, exposed stone, Gothic design on the inside. And we also checked out the main cathedral of Arequipa, which is right behind me, right in the main square. And it's so modern actually on the inside, but we weren't able to film or take photos, so you guys just have to come and check it out for yourselves. Right now, we definitely worked up a little bit of appetite once again, so we're gonna be in search of 2 must-try eats while in the city. We settled on this cute restaurant called La Benita, which sits right in the middle of the beautiful courtyard next to La Compañía Church. We came here for the ambiance because, I mean, just look at the design on the columns that are surrounding us, and it's actually very quiet here. But they also serve some local cuisine and a bunch of different dishes. But we decided to go with the 2 that we wanted to try since we're in Arequipa, called adobo and rocoto relleno. And we also ordered a frozen passion fruit to share because it is a pretty hot day here in Arequipa.
So the first dish that we got is going to be this adobo, which is this huge cut of pork, as well as a huge piece of pork belly, which I know Lauren's not going to like, but I'm going to absolutely love it. Inside of this stew, you have bread that you're going to dip right into it. And of course, if you want a spicy, they said that there's really spicy red pepper. So yeah, I'm going to have to throw a little bit of this in here. The first thing I got to do is try out the stew. Nice saltiness, a lot of black pepper in here. So you get a slight bit of heat. And the bread just mixes with it perfectly. I am now gonna try the pork. That's crazy. That is a huge piece of fat. Just like zoom in on that. Look at this. That is literally all fat. But of course, you have lots of lean pieces right over here. I just so happen to pick the fatty piece. That's gnarly. The flavors are great though. Because it's salty, it cuts right through the fat. Honestly, not too bad, but I know for a fact the lean pieces are the ones that I'm gonna love the most.
Rocoto relleno is probably the top dish to try in Arequipa, and it's essentially a stuffed pepper. And this juicy pepper has meat, seasoned with some vegetables and topped with cheese. And it always comes with a pastel de papa, which is essentially layered potatoes. We're gonna dig into this pepper, and it's so juicy. Oh my, it's like a stew in here. There's some olives in here. There's a nice bit of spice in here, so really nice kick. Now we also have to try the pastel de papa. It essentially looks like a bit of a creamy shepherd's pie in my opinion, but instead of mashed potatoes, it's layered potato wedges. That was very good. It's a little bit on the saltier side, which makes sense. We've got some potatoes and cheese, but I think it's a nice contrast with the spice and the pepper that I get from this stuffed pepper. It's about 1 hour before sunset, so we decided to come back to the square, and we're at Waya, which is this nice terrace bar slash restaurant that sits right beside the square and right across from the cathedral.
Yeah, and we're here to grab some drinks, and we got an entire jar of pisco sour, which is the drink here in Peru. It's made with pisco, lemon juice, simple syrup, and egg white to make it super frothy. And when I say jar,
That's how big it is.
literally, we got an entire jar. Yeah, putting down this whole thing, and then we're gonna enjoy the sunset.
Good morning, guys. It's our final day exploring Arequipa, and we thought it'd be a good idea to start it off with the most scenic viewpoint in the city, which is Yanaguara Scenic Overlook. And the reason why we wanted to come here is because we can actually see all 3 volcanoes that surround the city. There is Chichani over there. There is Misty, which is actually framed beautifully under these archways, and we can also see Pichu Pichu a little bit in the background too. It is a little bit hazy this morning, but I think we can see it just a little smidge. And what I love about these archways is that every single one of them has a quote written by an Arequipian writer, so you kind of get a little bit of history mixed with the beauty of this overlook.
Alpacas are one of the most iconic animals here in Peru, and right here in Arequipa there's something called Mundo Alpaca, or Alpaca World, and this is a fantastic spot to go and see and possibly pet some alpacas. And by the way, it is 100% free. So right over here you actually learn a bunch of information about the alpacas, and then right back there where Lauren's heading to right now, we're actually going to meet the alpacas themselves. I think it's time to grab our final meal here in Arequipa. We are heading over to the Victoria restaurant, which is a piqueteria. Now what that is a traditional Peruvian lunch spot, and based on the menu the food looks amazing, so we're gonna head over there and grab that meal.
We're at the restaurant, and we didn't expect to have such an amazing view of the San Francisco Square, but this restaurant actually has a whole indoor area with a rustic exposed stone look. There's also a lounge and then this upper deck terrace. We get to sit on these really soft alpaca blankets while we order our food. And the menu here is actually so nice. They show the different periods of each dish. So there are some pre-Incan dishes, there are some post-Columbian dishes, and we kind of ordered a little bit of everything. We're going to start off with some ocopa, which is a specialty here, and then something called the Americano Especial. You're probably wondering, why are we ordering this American dish? But it actually comes with a bit of everything. Really excited, and food should arrive in about 5 minutes. It's so addicting. It has like a nutty flavor, a little bit of spice, not too much. It is a cold salad, so if you're expecting something hot, it's not gonna be. But wow, I could eat the sauce all day. This plate looks massive, and I think we will have no problem being stuffed between the two of us after we finish it. We've got a little bit of everything, as I mentioned. It has cheese, tomatoes, corn. We also have our rocoto relleno, which we had yesterday, which is the most symbolic dish here in Arequipa. We have half a piece of chicharrón, which looks nice and crispy on the outside. Here is our estofado de res, which is sort of like a beef stew. It's got some peas, huge pieces of meat, tons of onions, a big piece of potato. And then lastly is the locro de pecho. I'm not too sure what's in here. Another kind of meat, but it's topped with a bunch of like mashed potatoes. Looks delicious, looks nicely spiced, and it's topped on a huge bed of rice. Final thing we had to get in Arequipa is another local specialty. It's called queso helado. That means frozen cheese. But the name is actually very deceptive, as it has nothing to do with cheese, but with everything to do with how it's made, as all the ingredients are churned together. There's milk, there's sugar, there's cinnamon, there's coconut, and vanilla. The great thing is that you can also find it pretty much on every single corner. We actually came to this little hidden courtyard that's right next to the San Francisco Plaza, and the little lady charged us about 5 soles for this little cup, which I think is great. The taste is heavenly. There's a bit of a crunch to it. The texture is amazing with that coconut, the spice from the cinnamon. The sweetness level is perfect, and that creaminess is just the perfect way for us to end our time in Arequipa.